If you're watching this video right now, get ready, because in the next few minutes, you're about to witness one of the most emotional, shocking, and unforgettable moments in Chinese entertainment history. Today, I'm taking you deep inside the night Tan Songyun broke down on stage in front of thousands, and the unbelievable twist that happened backstage when Shukai rushed past security, past staff, and straight into her arms before anyone else could reach her. This isn't the version the media reported. This is the version insiders whispered about. Why did Tan Songyun cry? What did Shukai say to her? And what secret between them was accidentally revealed that night? Stick around, because the truth behind this moment will absolutely blow your mind. It all started at one of the largest award shows of the year, a night filled with glittering lights, red carpet elegance, and the kind of star-studded energy that makes the air itself feel electric. Cameras were positioned in every corner, fans were screaming from the stadium seats, and backstage staff were running around in carefully coordinated chaos. Everyone was prepared for glamour. No one was prepared for heartbreak. Tan Songyun stepped onto the stage looking radiant as ever. She wore a sleek, flowing silver dress that shimmered under the lights like liquid moonlight. The audience went wild. Her name alone was enough to send the entire arena into a frenzy. She smiled, waved, and took her place at the center of the stage to give a speech she had rehearsed 100 times. But then something happened. It was subtle at first. Her voice trembled, barely noticeable, almost like a shift in breathing. Then her fingers curled tightly around the microphone. Her eyes flickered downward, as if she was trying to find stability on the glossy stage floor. And then it hit her, a wave of emotion so sudden and so heavy that she couldn't swallow it back. A tear rolled down her cheek. At first the crowd thought it was part of the emotional tone of her speech. Tan Songyun was known for being expressive and heartfelt. But then the tears kept coming. Her lips trembled. Her voice cracked completely. She tried to speak, tried desperately to stay professional, but no words came out. Just silence. Painful, breathtaking silence. The cameras zoomed in instantly. That's when the audience realized something was wrong. This wasn't planned. This wasn't scripted. Tan Songyun was breaking. And the entire world was watching. Backstage, Shukai, who had just finished a photoshoot segment of the event, stopped in his tracks. Someone called his name, but he didn't respond. His eyes were glued to the monitor. His expression changed from confusion, to concern, to something deeper. Something raw. Without hesitation, he moved. Security tried to stop him. It was strictly forbidden to head backstage while another actor was live on stage. But Shukai wasn't hearing any rules. His footsteps grew faster, firmer, almost aggressive. He slipped past a guard, sidestepped a camera operator, and broke into a run down the dimly lit backstage hallway. People shouted after him. He didn't care. Moments later, Tan Songyun stumbled off the stage, wiping at her eyes, trying to force a smile as she whispered apologies to the staff. Everyone was flustered, unsure how to approach her, unsure what caused the sudden emotional collapse. But before anyone could move toward her, a voice echoed down the hallway. Songyun. She looked up. Shukai was sprinting toward her, chest rising and falling, eyes burning with emotion. The staff parted instinctively, like he carried a force too heavy to resist. He reached her in seconds. And without asking permission, without saying a rehearsed comforting line, he gathered her into his arms. Not a polite hug. A desperate one. Tight. Protective. The kind that said he had been holding back this instinct for longer than anyone realized. Tan Songyun froze for a moment, shocked, but then her body relaxed into him. Her hands clung to the back of his jacket. Her head dropped against his shoulder. And she started crying again, but this time it wasn't silent or restrained. This time it was everything she had been holding inside. The staff looked away politely. Some exchanged glances. Others whispered. Because the chemistry between them wasn't just friendship. It wasn't just co-star camaraderie. It was something electric, deep, personal. When she finally pulled back, her cheeks were streaked with tears, but her eyes, though red, had regained a little clarity. I didn't mean to cry, she whispered. It just everything came back at once. Shukai cupped her face gently, wiping a tear with his thumb. You don't have to pretend with me, he said softly. Not now. Not ever. Those words hit her harder than the entire emotional breakdown she just experienced. Because they weren't just comforting, they implied a history, a connection, something unspoken. Something hidden. She took a shaky breath. I just thought I was stronger than this. You are strong, he replied. But even the strongest people break when they've been holding too much for too long. There it was again, the line that only someone who truly understood her would say. Not a co-star. Not a colleague. Someone who had seen her private battles. Someone who had listened late at night. Someone who had kept her secrets. Her gaze softened. The tension in the room changed. It felt intimate enough that staff members took several steps back to give them privacy. Then the thing happened, the moment that would create rumors for months. Tan Songyun whispered something to him. Something no one else heard. But Shukai froze. His hand tightened slightly on her shoulder. His eyes widened. And then his expression changed completely, from confused concern, to shock, to fierce determination. What do you mean it was him? He asked quietly. Tan Songyun swallowed hard. I thought I could handle it, but seeing him in the front row tonight, it hit me all over again. Shukai's face darkened. You should have told me. I didn't want to make it complicated, she said. You're more important than complications, he replied instantly. Those words. Those dangerous words. Right then, a staff member cleared her throat nervously and whispered, You both need to step into the dressing room. Cameras are still everywhere. But Shukai didn't move his hand from Tan Songyun's back. He stayed beside her like a shield, guiding her gently as they walked. Inside the dressing room, the door closed, and for the first time that night, the chaos of the world disappeared. Tan Songyun sat down slowly, exhaling shakily. Shukai crouched in front of her, eyes searching her face. Songyun, tell me exactly what happened, he said. She hesitated. Then finally, she spoke. He was the one who spread the rumor last year, she confessed. The rumor that nearly ruined my role. I never told anyone because I didn't want drama. But tonight, when I saw him sitting there, smiling like nothing happened, it felt like someone punched me in the chest. Shukai shut his eyes briefly, anger coursing through him. You carried that alone. I tried to forget, she said. But the moment I stepped on stage, everything came back. Shukai stood up abruptly. I'm going to confront him. Tan Songyun grabbed his wrist immediately. No. Please. Don't create another scandal. This isn't a scandal, he said. It's justice. Shukai, she whispered. Promise me you won't. He clenched his jaw, torn between rage and her plea. Then he softened. He sat beside her, taking her hands. Fine. For you, I won't confront him. But hear me clearly, I'm not letting you go through anything alone again. Her expression changed. It was subtle, hopeful, emotional, almost relieved. As if those words were exactly what she had been longing to hear but was afraid to ask for. The room grew painfully quiet. The tension between them thickened. It felt like the world had shrunk to just the two of them. Then, in the softest voice, Tan Songyun whispered, Why did you run to me so fast? Shukai looked at her for a long moment. And then he gave her the answer the world never heard. Because I felt it, he said. The moment you broke. I felt it in my chest. Like something inside me snapped too. She blinked, stunned. And I knew, he continued, that I had to get to you before anyone else did. For the first time that night, Tan Songyun smiled, a real one. Small but genuine. Her eyes warmed, her shoulders relaxed, and it was clear the storm inside her had begun to calm. Outside the room, managers whispered urgently, trying to figure out how to spin the emotional onstage moment for media. But inside, Shukai and Tan Songyun sat together in quiet understanding, hands intertwined, not saying another word. They didn't need to. Because some bonds are loud. Theirs was silent, but unbreakably powerful. And that night, after the cameras stopped rolling and fans went home, one truth became impossible to ignore. Shukai wasn't just the first person to reach her backstage. He was the only person who truly felt her pain. The only one who ran to her without thinking. The only one whose heart seemed tied to hers in ways neither had fully admitted. And maybe, just maybe, that night was the moment everything between them changed. The moment Shukai pulled Tan Songyun into that desperate, protective embrace backstage, something in the air shifted. It wasn't just concern anymore, it was something sharper, deeper, the kind of connection people usually try to hide, especially in an industry that feeds on secrets. But that night, they couldn't hide anything. Not their emotions. Not the truth behind her tears. And certainly not the energy crackling between them like static. The staff stood frozen for a moment as Shukai held her, almost shielding her body with his entire frame. They had seen hugs before, polite ones, friendly ones, colleague-to-colleague gestures, but this one was different. It had urgency, possession, fear, relief, all tangled up like he had been waiting for that moment without even realizing it. Tan Songyun's fingers were trembling when she pulled back slightly, not to escape him, but to breathe. The light above them flickered, casting soft shadows over her tear-stained cheeks. Her eyes were red, shimmering under the backstage glow. Shukai studied her face like every tear was something he needed to understand personally. "What happened out there?" he asked quietly, his voice so gentle it almost didn't sound like him. But she couldn't answer yet. Her throat tightened. She rubbed her palms against her dress, trying to steady herself, but her breathing came in short, uneven bursts. Shukai looked around sharply. "Where's her dressing room?" he demanded. A staff member scrambled. "Right this way." He didn't wait. He wrapped an arm around Songyun's shoulders and guided her toward the room, walking fast enough that the staff practically jogged behind them. Inside, he closed the door gently, not slamming it, but shutting it with the kind of finality that said no one else enters. Tan Songyun sat on the edge of the vanity chair, dropping her head into her hands. Her breath hitched again. Shukai crouched in front of her, bringing himself eye level. "Songyun." His voice was low, steady. "Look at me." She lifted her head slowly. Tears clung to her lashes like fragile crystals. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't want anyone to see that. I didn't want to ruin the event." "You didn't ruin anything," he said. "You scared me, that's all." A tiny, shaky laugh escaped her, the kind people let out when they're emotionally exhausted. "You ran like the building was on fire." "Because it was," he replied. "You were burning on stage and I felt it." Her eyes widened a little. She looked away quickly, swallowing hard. She didn't know what to do with words like that. Silence settled between them, heavy but intimate. The type of silence where two people hear each other's heartbeat even without touching. Finally, she took a slow breath. "It was him," she murmured. "The person who hurt me last year. He was in the front row tonight. I thought I was okay. I thought I moved past it. But when I saw him, it felt like someone ripped open the wound." Shukai's jaw tightened instantly. He stood up so fast his chair slid back. "Tell me his name." "Shukai. Tell me." His voice was still quiet, but there was a dangerous edge beneath it. She shook her head. "No. It won't change anything. I just lost control. I hate that it happened publicly." He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "You didn't lose control. You were triggered. There's a difference." She wiped at her eyes. "I'm supposed to be strong." "You are," he said firmly. "But even strength breaks when something hits the exact wound that created it." That line hit her so deeply she had to look away. He softened his tone. "Songyun, why didn't you tell me earlier? You know I'm always here." She hesitated. Because the truth was, she had wanted to tell him the moment it happened a year ago. But feelings complicate things. And Shukai was the one person she didn't want complications with. "I didn't want to drag you into it," she finally whispered. "You already deal with so much pressure." He exhaled sharply, his frustration turning into something else, not anger, but hurt. "You don't drag me," he said. "You ground me." She blinked at him, stunned by the sincerity in his voice. "And if something hurts you," he continued, "I want to know. I need to know." That last part slipped out unintentionally, he could feel it. His chest tightened. Her eyes softened. The room grew warm and unbearably quiet. Tan Songyun lowered her gaze. Her fingers twisted together nervously. Shukai slowly reached out, gently taking her hands. His touch was warm, steady, grounding. "You don't ever have to face anything alone," he said. Those words broke something inside her, but in a good way. Tears pooled again, but this time, they weren't from pain. They were from the overwhelming relief of being understood. She squeezed his hands lightly. "Thank you for running to me." He smiled, a soft, almost shy kind of smile, but full of meaning. "I didn't think. I just reacted. That's what scares me," she whispered. He froze. "Why?" "Because it means I'm not the only one who felt something tonight." Her voice cracked on the last word. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he studied her, really studied her, like he was afraid of misreading her, afraid of stepping into a territory they had both been silently dancing around for months. "Songyun," he said softly. "What exactly did you feel?" She breathed out shakily. "When I saw you running toward me, for a moment it felt like you were running toward something you've been holding back for a long time." The air between them thickened instantly. Shukai's heartbeat thundered in his chest. His fingers tightened around hers. "Maybe I was," he admitted quietly. Her breath caught. The room felt too small, too intimate, too loud with emotions that neither of them was fully prepared for. He leaned closer, not enough to cross the line, but close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath. "And maybe," he said slowly, "tonight just made it harder for me to hide it." Her eyes widened, a soft gasp escaping her. "Kai." But before she could finish, someone banged on the door. Tan Songyun. "Shukai. Media needs a statement." Shukai's expression darkened instantly. He didn't move. Neither did she. They stayed frozen in that moment, breaths tangled, hearts pounding, a confession hanging unspoken between them. Another knock. "Songyun, please, the reporters are waiting." She stood slowly, wiping her face. Shukai rose with her. Their hands brushed. Both felt it. She inhaled deeply, forcing professionalism back into her posture. "We have to go." "I know," he said. "But this conversation isn't finished." Her heartbeat stuttered. Before she could respond, Shukai gently reached out and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was soft, intimate, the kind that could start rumors for years. "Songyun," he said quietly. "I meant every word." She didn't trust her voice enough to answer, so she simply nodded. He opened the door for her. Cameras flashed immediately. Reporters shouted questions. Staff scrambled. But as they walked out side by side, close enough that their shoulders nearly brushed, everyone could sense it. Something happened in that dressing room. Something no one could name. Something no rumor, no headline, no staged interaction could capture. Because it wasn't about public image. It was about Shukai running without permission, without thought, without hesitation, to the one person whose pain broke him too. And Tan Songyun finally realizing that the moment she cracked on stage, his heart cracked with hers. And the world. Oh, the world had no idea what was coming next. If you enjoyed this continuation, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and it tells me you want more stories like this. Now drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Shukai's reaction means he has deeper feelings for Tan Songyun? What do you think he was about to confess before the knock on the door? Should I write a part 3 showing what happened with the reporters and after the event? Tell me in the comments, I'm reading every single one.